Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ringside Rundown Podcast. My name is Erik Vasquez, and joining me on the line is my podcasting partner in crime. Yes, that rhymes coming straight from the Berg. She is none other than Shay Hickson. Shay, what's going on, my friend?
Not much. Can't really complain. I am exhausted. I'm sure the what we're about to talk about from this weekend probably did not help with that because oh boy, was it a wild weekend for wrestling fans to say the least.
It definitely was a wild week, and this is going to be a wild episode because we have so much to talk about. For those of you that don't know that are tuning in for the first time, this is a podcast about professional wrestling where Shay and I discuss what is happening in the world of WWE, AEW, and everything adjacent to professional wrestling. And this week we have a big show because we have to talk about Saturday's Elimination Chamber, which was probably, in my opinion, WWE's pay-per-view of the year, and we're only in March.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was the best pay-per-view so far this year. And not only that, this weekend coming up on Sunday is AEW Revolution pay-per-view. So the matches that are advertised for that, we have predictions for those matches. But I mean, this past weekend for Elimination Chamber probably will go down as one of the most important pay-per-views or PLEs in the modern era of WWE, probably since last year WrestleMania 40.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty fair comparison. Just from the beginning all the way to the end, literally, it was just big moments after shocking surprises, revelations. It had pretty much everything you can think of. And it was funny because I don't know about you, but I wasn't like overly hyped to get into this pay per view at first. I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'm going to be interested to see who wins the chambers, how the rest of the card fills out for WrestleMania. And just when you think some people are just like the interest is kind of like waning a little bit, Triple H just pulls something out of his hat, and it's just like, well, you caught us slipping. Not gonna
Yeah,
lie, and you have our attention now because, phew,
yeah,
it's just I can't even put into words. It was just insane. It was a great pay
yeah.
per view from start to finish. It was just insane, just insane.
Yeah, it like you said. I don't know if it wasn't that I wasn't interested or like I wasn't really hyped. I'm always usually hyped for the PLEs because I know they're going to deliver. I just didn't think this PLE was going to be chocked full of all of the moments and things that went down. And if you think about it, this was four matches on a PLE and a rock segment.
Yeah,
So it really like it four matches on a PLE. Like think about that and like
yeah.
this probably it's definitely going to be in the running for best PLE of 2025 when it's all said and done because the things that they executed in this pay-per-view, the monumental shift of professional wrestling period. I mean,
Yeah.
this at the end of it had one of the biggest moments in professional wrestling since Hulk Hogan formed the NWO. You know, that's how
Yeah.
big everything was that happened this past Saturday at Elimination Chamber. Might as well get into it and give our thoughts on the matches and our match ratings. The show kicked off with the Women's Elimination Chamber match, where we would see who would go on to face the Women's World Champion at WrestleMania. That in itself is an interesting story because the following Monday, which was last night, we're recording this on a Tuesday evening. Last night, we saw Rhea Ripley defend and lose the Women's World Championship against Io Sky. We'll talk about that after we finish with the Women's Elimination Chamber, but that was the caveat. That was the prize. The winner would go on to WrestleMania to see who would face the Women's World Champion. And we have all six women, four women in the pods, two in the ring. And before the match even begins, the match was supposed to kick off with Naomi and Liv Morgan starting off. Before that even happens, Jade Cargill
Mm.
returns. Jade Cargill returns. She
Oh.
enters. The crowd is going crazy. You know she's going to confront whoever attacked her. We all think it's Liv Morgan because we saw Liv and Raquel on that video, but no, 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 ladies and gentlemen.
Called it.
She goes after Naomi, and not only does she get her hands on Naomi, she beats the dog shit out of Naomi. Like, she beat Naomi up. And what about the performance from Bianca Belair, who could do nothing but watch from inside of the chamber pod? She was trapped in there.
Yeah, I have been waiting since that match to talk about it on this show because I was right. I did say it was Naomi because
Mm,
that's what made the most sense. However, after watching it and going back and paying attention to some little things, because we know how Triple H works. If there's some extra breadcrumbs in there, if you're willing to look for them, and sometimes they're staring you right in the face and you don't really, see them on first glance. I have a bigger theory here that may break some hearts, may not, who knows.
uh-oh.
I have a feeling Naomi wasn't the only one involved in this whole little situation here.
Interesting. Who else do you think could be involved?
I think Bianca is the one that orchestrated this entire thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because first off, starting from like when we get into the chamber themselves, so everybody gets in there. Every single person almost immediately takes off their gear, except for Bianca. She has that feathery. I was informed by my one friend it's like a Cowboy Carter Beyonce kind of whatever.
Okay.
They would know better. I don't listen to Beyonce, so sure, fine, whatever. Look great, whatever. She still has it on. And then and then like Liv and Naomi go in, and I'm like, why does she still have that jacket on? That's just kind of, is she amped up? Did she kind of forget she has to take that off? She can't really like wrestle in a fuzzy feather coat like that, but hey, whatever. The bell rings, but then Jade's music hit. And if you go back and watch when her music hits, Bianca, you would think here, your friend finally has come back. You finally get your friend back. Justice is about to be served. You think you'd be a little more excited? Why did she look shocked? Like, not even in like an
Yeah.
excited way. She was just like, it was like an oh shit kind of shocked. Same with
Right.
Naomi.
Yeah.
Naomi looked like she was about to like I don't know. She just looked like fucking terrified. And then Bianca takes her jacket off. Like she's about to start squaring up in the ring. And I'm like, why are you taking your jacket off now? This is just like almost too convenient of why are you doing it this way? And the thing that kind of got me was all these people online were like, well, why was Liv so scared? Why was Liv so scared if she knew she wasn't the one, then her and Raquel didn't attack Jade? And it's like,
Mm.
guys, it is really, how do I put
There
this in the
I
nicest way? It's not hard to figure it out.
Well, like, this is my theory about that because I actually thought about that, and this is the way I thought about it. When Jade got attacked, it's easy to say that she got attacked from behind and she didn't realize who her attacker was. Maybe she got some evidence that ended up showing her that it was Naomi. But here's the thing, like Liv doesn't know if that's Jade's thinking, like, I was attacked from behind, so initially I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Jade Liv doesn't know that that's Jade's line of thinking. She could easily think that Jade just assumes that Liv was the one that attacked her and was going to get attacked even though she didn't do anything, but
Yeah.
we ended up finding out that Naomi did it. It's easy to be like, even though I didn't do it, I'm scared because I know I didn't do it, but she's gonna think I did it,
I'm
and
already guilty by association
right,
because of who I
exactly,
am and because of
right,
it was convenient. You were guilty by convenience because you and Raquel had been terrorizing those two for how long up until that point. So it was really
right.
easy for anybody at the time to go there where it's like, well, of course it was Liv and Raquel. They wanted the titles. Why wouldn't they take them out? Whatever.
And not only that, it could easily be assumed that Jade is so built up with rage and anger that she's gonna just take out everybody in the ring,
Yeah.
and then leave it up to, okay, we just know somebody attacked Jade and Jade knows who attacked her, but she just kind of went crazy, you
And
know?
yeah, and the thing that makes me think that she has no idea Bianca's involved or like at the head of this if she knew it was both of them, she wouldn't have completely ignored Bianca. She would
Hmm.
have busted. I mean, we've seen it 5,000 times in the chamber. She could have kicked the like pane of glass in.
Yeah.
She could have gotten to her if she wanted to. She has no idea that Bianca is in on this. At least I think so. Because again, you go back and look. Naomi again has this look of terror on her face. She keeps looking back at Naomi or at Bianca like two or three times,
Right.
and of course, Liv's losing it because she's like, I'm already looking guilty. I already look like I'm like, again, like we said, you're already guilty by convenience because you're you and
Hmm.
because of all the circumstances leading up to that point. And I thought it was so interesting to me that if you go back and Jade obviously locks eyes with Liv, and I'm pretty sure it says, I know it was you. So I'm like, okay, she's faking her out because she's not looking in Naomi and Bianca's direction because she kind of had to look to the left a little bit. If you see when she starts getting in the ring, Twitter, I saw it at first on Twitter and it kind of confused me because the quality was so like fucked up on it. I couldn't see what Bianca was doing. It looked like she was playing with her hair or something. I'm like, there's something more to that. Let me go back onto went back on the Peacock and went in and replayed the whole thing. She's actually like pointing at Liv, like essentially being like, yeah, that's right, you're gonna get what you deserve and whatever. And then Naomi looks back at her again, and I'm like, these two are in on it. And I'm pretty sure Bianca's about to use Naomi as a scapegoat because
Wow.
Naomi can't defend herself. She's
Right.
out for, and let's be honest, it's very convenient. Again, Naomi, there's no way she's coming back in what I think it's like less than 50 days to WrestleMania. So about a month and
Yeah.
a half. She's not coming back. So she has no way to defend herself. And so Jade could probably go to Naomi or to Belair and be like, why didn't you tell me it was her? You've been with her this entire time. All Bianca has to do is just gaslight her essentially, where it's like, look, I had no idea. I didn't know what was going to happen, and completely just throw her off because she's innocent in this in her
Right.
mind. Because, okay, good. We had a plan. It didn't go essentially according to plan. Naomi took the fall for it. That's not my problem. I got what I wanted out of it. I got my WrestleMania moment.
The thing is, and I would be more inclined to believe that Bianca is the mastermind behind all of this because I kind of feel like Bianca has that ability in her. I feel like Naomi's just too
She's
nice.
the scapegoat.
Yeah, I feel like Naomi was just like the sidekick going along. Maybe she really didn't want to be a part of the plan, but she went along with it because she knew no better and she was the women's tag team champion. Like she had to go along with it. I just feel like Naomi's too nice to be that calculated to come up with a plan to take Jade Cargill out and be solely the reason that Jade got taken out. I think you may be onto something by saying that Bianca may be the puppeteer behind all this. Like she seems more inclined to be the one that has all the abilities to pull the strings, and make things happen so that way she can get what she wants.
Yeah, and it would be one of those because again, it also varies. It's very easy to argue like, well, why would Naomi go along with it? Oh, it's easy. All Bianca has to do is just be like, look, this is what we have to do. You're gonna probably get your ass handed to you. Someone's gonna have to take the fall for it. But look, I win the chamber. I win the title at Mania. You get the first crack at the title. Like it's not
Yeah.
gonna take that much to convince her. And what was so interesting to me was I went back and found it was off of Twitter, and I don't remember exactly when this promo was, but it was with Liv and Bianca, and it was kind of in the middle of all of this before Jade got attacked. And Liv pretty much flat out is just like, yeah, Jade, you got to be careful because Bianca's just gonna has the knife that's just gonna stab you in the back with. And I'm like,
Mm.
so maybe Liv was onto something, and Bianca got very, very pissy and very defensive. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like if you weren't so, guilty conscious about that, you wouldn't have gotten so pissed about it. And so I
Yeah.
feel like she was getting a little too overreactive over it. So I just, like I said, I'm trying to remember exactly how she worded it, but essentially it was just like, Jade, you better watch your back because Bianca's got the knife and is going to stab you in the back with it. So I think there's going to be a little bit more to it than we think. And I feel like this is going to lead up all the way to WrestleMania at this point. And I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if Bianca's just like, look, I had no idea. Again, gaslighter, manipulator. Look, I don't know. I didn't know what was going on. She had me fooled. She had everybody fooled. Whatever. And then
Right.
all you'd have to do is have Bianca win the title. Everything's great. Oh, yay. Everything went according to plan. And then that's when she turns on Jade and is like, you've been fooled this entire time, and you had no idea that I was the one pulling the strings this entire time. Maybe because Naomi comes back conveniently. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a whole full circle kind of thing of Naomi comes back to save the day just in the nick of time. But either way, I feel like poor Naomi was kind of just the pawn in the game, but I feel like the actual master of this whole thing was Bianca. But we'll come
Mm.
back to this, bookmark this episode, and we'll see how vindicated I feel later. But
It's so interesting that we spent this much time going through all of these. Two things are very interesting. One, everybody was starting to be like, well, WWE has no idea what they're doing with this story. They fumbled
yeah,
this story, and then all of a sudden this happens, and like we're back on board.
we're
Two,
back.
yeah, we talked about this at length, this whole situation. This happened before, like, as soon as the bell rang.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
this went down as soon as the bell rang before the two competitors in the middle of the match ever even locked up.
Yep.
They didn't even touch. The match didn't even happen. So Jade comes back. She beats down Naomi to the point where Naomi can no longer compete in the Elimination Chamber. She gets stretchered out. And it broke down as follows. Bailey was eliminated by Liv Morgan. Roxanne was eliminated by Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss was eliminated by Liv Morgan. They had a great final stretch between Liv Morgan and Bianca Belair, ending with Liv getting the KOD and eliminated from the Elimination Chamber by Bianca Belair, who would go on to be the woman to face the Women's World Champion at WrestleMania. So not only did this all happen in the beginning of the match, and Bianca had to look on from inside her chamber pod, and she gave that wonderful Oscar worthy
Oh,
performance
yes.
of heartbreak and anguish, and she couldn't believe it was happening. She was able to lock it in,
Yeah.
and come away with the victory in the women's elimination chamber match. I thought this was a great women's elimination chamber, and I ended up giving it 4.25 flames out of 5. What about you?
I also gave it 4.25 flames, so we're off
Yeah.
to a great start.
Great start indeed. We both are in lockstep. Again, this was a phenomenal women's elimination chamber match. Jade, I often think about, especially in this situation where Jay comes back and it's this big moment, and you think about all the stuff that she been through coming from AEW, and then everybody are like, "Oh, they fumbled Jade. She's stuck in the performance center. She's not doing anything." And then she has this big moment where she really delivers, because we're left with more questions that we want the answers to as soon as possible. So we're definitely looking forward to what Jade is going to be doing next. But again, shout out to Bianca Belair for being the number one contender for the Women's World Championship.
Yeah, something we both did not get right.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, that did not.
yeah,
We didn't start off on a great foot there, but
yeah.
yeah,
I don't think anybody was picking Bianca Belair, to be honest with you. I don't think, because
no.
we do like I say on the live streams when we're doing the watch alongs, we do channel point predictions and stuff like that, and I don't think anybody selected Bianca Belair to win. So this was kind of crazy, but again, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to be doing. I know we talked about in the DMs after Raw last night, and EO ended up winning. There's a lot of confusion leading to this match at WrestleMania. Maybe there's a possibility that it could be a triple threat match. I know that you are like a little perturbed by the setup of the match. There's a lot of confusion going on with it.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, I feel like I will give them props once again because I feel like everybody and their brother expected Rhea to hold on to that title because they were really playing up the she's never beaten Io, she's never done this before. This is
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, we know how that usually goes, so fine. Um, the the thing that just got me was last time I checked, if somebody who is not in the match you're in puts their hands on you no matter what,
Hmm.
that is a disqualification every other fucking match except this one.
Right.
And it's just like, I don't know how they'll be able to explain it or justify it. And as annoyed as I am that it happened, because obviously Rhea lost the title, so I'm not too thrilled right now. However, I feel like I'm going to be very interested to see where this takes Rhea, because I would like to think that this is going to be a triple threat. I feel like
Hmm.
there is some type of justification there, which I wouldn't be mad. I think that would be a great match with the three of them. But I feel like I'm glad that everyone can shut up now with the stupid, oh, well, Rhea's overpowered. No one can be Rhea. Everybody loses to Rhea. Blah, blah, blah bullshit that I have to hear all the time. And I like, especially with that promo she cut backstage after the match, probably one of her best promos ever, I would think. I would say. Very
Yeah.
emotional, very just raw. This is the kind of Rhea we haven't seen before. We haven't seen the emotionally isolated lone wolf kind of Rhea. She's always had somebody, or she's always
Right.
been overly, I mean, actually, besides just being overly confident and cocky, she's always had somebody. She's always
Right.
had the Judgment Day. She's always had Damien. She's always had Dom. She's always had somebody.
Hmm.
She has nobody now. She is by herself with no title 6, 7 weeks before WrestleMania. So I would like to see how this helps her character evolve, because I hate saying it. Charlotte was kind of right. Rhea still had to
Ooh.
grow up. And the worst part is how she acted with that at the end of that match doesn't really do her any favors. It
Hmm.
made her look stupid, it made her look silly, obviously on purpose. It wasn't like to like degrade Rhea's character. It's just that's what they wanted to do. They wanted her to prove that she still has growing up to do, because a real solid locked in champion shouldn't be distracted by someone cheering on somebody else in the match. Like
Right.
that shouldn't be your thing. You should be locked in and not giving a shit about Bianca being at ringside doing whatever she's doing. And I feel like I did see this theory, and you can see and you can tell me how you feel. Someone said maybe Io knew that Rhea's weakness, her very few weaknesses she has, her one biggest weakness is how much she cares about her friends and her family and whatever. All Io had to do was be upset that you screwed me out of my title match. I could have gone on to the Elimination Chamber. I could have won it. I could have like faced you at WrestleMania. All she had to do was guilt trip Rhea. And
Hmm.
Rhea got her that rematch. And what happened?
So basically the motivations were sort of different. Like Rhea's focus was in different parts.
Yeah.
And honestly, this could have been what they would call a trap game, which is
Yes.
basically Rhea's focus is probably on WrestleMania, even though she has the match with Io, and she's still not focused on Io. But meanwhile, Io is locked in, ready
Yeah.
to go, and because Rhea's looking so far ahead to WrestleMania and what she's going to be doing at WrestleMania.
She looked through
E-
her.
yeah, Io kind of took advantage of that and made Rhea look kind of stupid, you know?
Yeah, yeah, as much as I hate saying it, and she did. And that's the thing. If you are as good of a champion as you say you are, you shouldn't have those stupid little distractions cost you that much.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it did. So I'm interested to see how does Rhea move on from this and how does she learn from this, because surprise surprise guys on the internet wrestling community, she actually is vulnerable. I don't want to, again, I don't want to hear any more bullshit of how she's overpowered and they overbook her and she's protected and this and that and whatever. And it's just like, you guys can't say that now. You can't. She doesn't have the title anymore. She lost it in a dumb way, and she'll admit it was a dumb way. She even said it was my fault. I can't be mad at Io. I can't be mad at Bianca. I cost myself that title. And she
Yeah.
did. So I'll be interested to see what happens. Am I happy she doesn't have the title anymore? Absolutely not. But we'll see what happens leading up to WrestleMania because there's still plenty of time.
Definitely. And once again, we both gave that women's elimination chamber match 4.25 flames out of 5. Very well done from all 6 women. That leads us into the tag team match featuring Toronto's own Trish Stratus teaming up with the women's champion Tiffany Stratton to take on her arch nemesis Nia Jax and her sidekick Candice LeRae. Now, for me, this one was kind of on a tough spot on the card. You know, everybody's
Yeah.
amped up for the opening match, which is a big one. It's the women's elimination chamber. Jade Cargill returns and causes mass chaos. We have Bianca Belair winning, which nobody saw coming. And then you have this match, and it's like, how do we really get excited for this match? Because this match kind of just happened. And that's why I feel
Yeah.
like this would have been a great SmackDown main event on Friday before Elimination Chamber rather than on the Elimination Chamber PLE. Now, I also thought that it was strange where they could have used this on SmackDown as a SmackDown main event. They could have gotten Charlotte involved in this in a way as maybe like have Charlotte be a special guest referee or
Yeah.
on commentary. So that way the focus is still on Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair for the women's championship at WrestleMania. I feel like we're getting too far away from that. I feel like the Trish Stratus inclusion felt more of a distraction more than a benefit for Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah, I I feel so bad because I don't remember much about this match. And I feel like you kind of can't help it because it was just looking at that card on paper, this match stuck out like a sore thumb
Right.
and it I was not proved wrong when we watched it because the worst part is my friend we were all watching and then we're just like, oh, okay, yeah, this. I think we're still kind of reeling from the chamber, but we're just like, oh, okay, yeah, this is good. I mean, it's all right. And then the middle of that match just went from like
F-
60 to 0. I'm like, what
yeah,
the?
flat.
Yeah. And again, you kind of like the crowd's probably still like needing a nap after the chamber. I get that. But also, it's just like, did we really need this match?
That's
And
what I'm
clearly the
saying.
answer is no.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it felt like it would have been a better match on SmackDown. It felt
Yeah.
like because again, a lot of that is this match has nothing of note, nothing
Nope.
that stands out to make it go
Charlotte
okay.
didn't even show up.
Yeah, like again, we need a little bit more focus on the WrestleMania aspect, and I think we were missing that with this match. No offense to Trish Stratus, but
Yeah.
I just felt like this match really wasn't necessary. This match was just to be like, oh, let's get Trish Stratus in Toronto.
Pretty much. That's pretty much what it felt like. And yeah, it's just like you would never know if somebody was new to wrestling or somebody just had not been paying attention to the Royal Rumble in the last few weeks, nothing. I guarantee you, if they would have seen this match and saw that Tiffany was the champion, and you would ask them, "Hey, so what do you think Tiffany's doing for WrestleMania this year?" They'd have no fucking clue because it did not involve the person she is wrestling. And again, Charlotte didn't even show up. Didn't
Yeah,
even show up. All she had to do was just like, I don't know, just stare at her and point or do something, but no, it's just I don't it just felt kind of like a nostalgia trip a little bit that we didn't
yeah,
need. But that's not to say the match was bad. It was just very forgettable.
right. That's why I didn't give it a low score, but I gave it 3.25 flames out of 5. It wasn't a bad match. It was just on a tough spot on the card, and really, it stuck out like you said, like a sore thumb on the entire card.
Yeah, I just gave it a 3 because again, I wasn't going to beat up on this match and rag on it. It was just I'll just be nice because I could just say NA because again, I just don't remember much of it, but it was again, it was good. It was just like you said, it should have been like a SmackDown main event or something and people would have eaten that up. So
Right.
yeah, I'll just give it 3 flames.
All right, so that takes us to the next match, which was an unsanctioned match. That means that WWE would not be liable or responsible for any sort of injuries inquired in this match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, two men that have gone from best friends to bitter enemies to best friends back to bitter enemies. And they had this unsanctioned match. And I got to tell you, they really delivered on this one. I put in my notes that I felt like this was executed to perfection when it came to this was really just a brawl. You know, this wasn't really
Yeah.
like a wrestling match. It didn't have any technical aspect to it. This was just like a brawl to see how much the one person could hurt the other.
Yeah, it was what we expected. It delivered in every aspect, except
Yes.
except that there was one little thing that just got me,
Mm.
and this is just me being like, I guess, picky or just personal preference or whatever. If you were gonna have this kind of match, you have to have at least a little bit of blood, just a little bit.
Mm.
And here's what didn't make sense to me, and I don't know if you caught this too. When Sammy brought out the barbed wire chair and he puts Kevin in a drop toe hold face first into said barbed wire chair, and Kevin's freaking out, like holding his head, whatever. I'm like, okay, this has got to be where the blood's coming from because you can't just catch your face on barbed wire and not bleed.
Right.
Not a single drop of blood.
He did have a laceration on like the side of his neck, but if you weren't paying attention, you would have missed it because it wasn't like blood was trickling down. It was just like a cut on like it looked like where he might have scraped himself on that barbed wire from that drop to hold because this Meltzer made no note on his show that the barbed wire chair was not gimmicked in any way. It wasn't shaved down or made to be less pointy or damaging. This was legit, real barbed wire wrapped around a steel chair, and everything that happened in that match was for legits.
Yeah, and it showed like, oh, just and then Kevin getting slammed on that barbed wire chair back first. I'm just like, there were so many spots in that match where we're all just going,
Yeah, when
like
when Kevin dumped him and he flipped over and he
the
went
two
through
tables.
the two tables, I was like, holy crap.
Did you get that? Did you get the when he was like stacking the tables? I'm like, are we playing Here Comes the Pain right now? Are we playing like the old school like SmackDown games? And that's another if you get it, you get it. Like, oh, those were the days. I'm like, that
Yeah.
is fully what it reminded me of, and my friend got it too, and it was just like I miss those days. Those were the
Yeah.
days with gaming. But anyway, but no, it was that was also painful. Just all the neck like chairs around the neck into the like ring posts, and
Mm.
just all the power bombs on the side of the ring on the apron. It was just like, oh good lord, this is just this is what we expected. Like we said, it was going to be painful. It was going to be cringy in a good way, and boy was it.
Yeah, I really felt like this match delivered exactly what it needed to deliver, and
Yes.
it gave us exactly what we were expecting when you get an unsanctioned match. It kind of lived up to finally getting that Kevin Owens Zayn blood feud type match. That's why I gave this one 4.5 flames out of 5. What about you?
4.5 flames. And
There we go.
the good thing about this too is that you can make these kind of matches even better because of course people are going to be hooked on the carnage and the hardcore and everything by itself, but when you have two people who are very good technical wrestlers to begin with doing that kind of stuff, it's going to look
Hmm.
even more painful. And so they knew what they were doing.
They sh-
And yeah.
Yeah, they certainly did. Now, this match didn't wasn't without its big moment. You know, Kevin Owens ends up getting the win, but he's not satisfied with that. He wants to inflict more damage on Sami Zayn, and he gets stopped in his track by the returning Randy Orton. Randy
Yeah.
Orton is back, and Randy Orton went off. We almost got a glimpse of the old Randy Orton where he lined up Kevin Owens and he was about to hit him
I
with the
was
Randy
hoping.
Orton. Yeah, he was about to hit him with the Randy Orton punt. And Randy Orton was stopped by security and officials, and he went crazy and must have RKO'd like 6, 7 people out in a row. That was like the best moment of the night.
Yeah, and my personal favorite was like he's RKing or RKOing all these security, and then he goes to shake the one's hand, and then I'm like, really, dude, you're one of those. Like, okay, that was just funny.
Yeah, it really was. Again, a fantastic match executed to perfection. Glad to have Randy Orton back. Randy Orton actually looks like he's in better shape than when he was when he left.
Yeah,
He looks to be in incredible shape once again. We both gave this match 4.5 flames out of 5.
4.5 out of 5.
Yep, and that takes us to the men's elimination chamber match. 6 men battling for the opportunity to face Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania for the undisputed championship. You had CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Damian Priest, Logan Paul, and John Cena all locked in that elimination chamber match. I gotta say, usually, like when we have those gimmick matches where one match is for the women and then the same match is for the men, a lot of times the women outshine the men. I gotta feel like the men saw how good the women's elimination chamber match was, and they actually at least lived up to
Yeah,
as good as the women were.
yeah,
Maybe if not even better.
I would agree. This was a great one. Glad that Toronto understood the assignment and booed Logan Paul out of the building as he
Oh my
rightfully
god.
deserved. Yeah, that was just good for them because he deserved all of those. um I just liked all of these storylines being like interwoven into this match and all these callbacks like with Cena and Punk. Like that was wild. Like that was
Yeah.
fucking wild. And I actually hugged and I'm just like, wow, this is
It's real. It's
no.
real. It made me feel something. Like it took me back to 2011
Yeah,
when life was good. Like we didn't
literally.
we didn't have all these problems.
Honestly, and then what got me was like when Cena said, I don't remember if it was like, oh, it's been however many years, I missed you," and Punk's like, "Oh, I missed you too, man." I'm like, don't do this." I'm like, don't do this. And now it hurts even more knowing what happened later. But I'm just like,
Yeah.
God damn it. But yeah, it's like you have all these different just interwoven again. Like you're gonna have Damian and McIntyre probably, and that's gonna be fun. And Logan, who really cares? Like, who gives a shit? Like, it's fine. But no, it was good. It was just action after action after action. Nothing felt too like slowed down. Nothing felt too like boring. It was just go the whole time, and it was just entertaining, and it didn't feel like forced to. Those like the feuds that were like intermixed into this didn't feel like forced or anything. It just felt natural. It was good.
Right.
And then the ending. This is one of those where we always love how good WWE is with their camera angles. So
Yeah.
like Rollins gets eliminated. We're like, okay, cool. It's Cena and Punk. This is what we expected. And I laughed because I'm sitting there and I'm like, the predictions, the fake ringside rundown predictions title comes down to
Uh,
this match because it literally was you or me.
yeah.
Because both of our guys were the final two. We were tied at that point because neither of us picked Bianca Belair and then got everything else right leading up to that match. So we're just like, this is it. This is sudden death. This is for all the glory and the title that we don't really have, but whatever. And so they're just going back and forth. It was great. This is just like and back like back in the day, back the good old days. And then just out of fucking nowhere, Seth just curb stomps Punk into the ground, and I'm like, where's he been this whole time? The again, the camera work they do sometimes is just great because no one knew he was still there. I'm sure people in the like arena knew he was still there, but still, like no one at home knew he was still there. And it's just it was just such a good
Yeah.
ending. Such a
And
good
this
ending. And I
this was
won. And I won. I
you
did
won.
it. I still got the title.
She is. She's still the champion. She's still the predictions champ. To me, this one, it was one of those things, all right, when Rollins hit Punk with the stomp and then Cena grabs Punk and he drags him in for the STF and he locks in the STF. You're kind of like, huh, Cena kind of took advantage of that, and,
Uh-huh.
and he wouldn't usually do that, but you're not thinking. You're just like,
No.
all right, whatever.
No.
Well, he just does that, and then Punk to his credit, didn't even tap out. Punk just kind of, his body gave out,
Yeah.
and the ref called for the bell, and it looks like John Cena is going on to WrestleMania to face Cody Rhodes for the Undisputed Championship. So then Cody Rhodes comes out to confront his opponents, and they all have a nice, friendly, sportsman like embrace and say, "Can't wait for WrestleMania." And that brings out Travis Scott and the final boss, Dwayne.
Why? Okay, I'm sorry. I just have to say real quick, what was the point of having him out there? I'm sorry.
I have no idea. I really wish he would have kind of just lingered around the ringside area rather than get in the ring
You get
and,
involved?
yeah, and get involved. But I don't know. I wasn't in the production meeting for that one. Um,
Anyway, go on.
but The Rock shows up. We all know why he's here. He wants to know if Cody Rhodes is going to become his champion and give him his soul. And of course, in Cody Rhodes fashion, he makes us think that maybe he will. And then he's like, "Nah, Rock, go fuck yourself." The
Hmm.
crowd goes crazy. The Rock just stands there stunned. Cena's doing his Cena thing. He's all amped up. And then he goes to embrace Cody Rhodes for Cody Rhodes' act of bravery. And then it began the transformation. Cena went into like this trance where he was embracing Cody, but he was staring at The Rock. The Rock gives him this cutthroat symbol, and then Cena does the unthinkable, something that we didn't think we would ever see in our lifetimes. Cena kicks Cody Rhodes in the nuts.
The oh, just you saying it still just doesn't sound normal. It doesn't
I
sound real.
I watched it a couple hours before we started recording, and it was one of those moments where I rarely go back and rewatch a PLE unless it has like a big moment, and this was definitely one of those big moments where I had to go back and watch it and just get the feel for it, because when it happened, I'm freaking out, but you got to
Yeah.
also remember I'm on camera,
Yeah. Yeah.
freaking out. Like I'm
Throw in your headphones. Yeah, I
yeah,
saw.
I'm like, yeah, I literally threw my headphones on the ground and was like freaking out. I didn't get to like really absorb it and really absorb the commentary and everything that was going down. So that's why I rewatched it and I was just like, wow, this was a huge, huge moment in wrestling history. This was historical.
Yeah.
Um, didn't think it would ever happen. John Cena joins the dark side, and
Hmm.
wow, John Cena's a bad guy.
I okay, I think it's easy to say this is perhaps one of, if not the most shocking, like moment in WWE history.
Oh, for
They're
sure.
very high up there. Like to start things off, like you saw the rumblings online about the match order that this was supposed to be kind of in the middle, and then the men's chamber was going to end the show, and we're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense because no one thought anything of this like promo. Everyone thought this was just like, why the hell is this on the show? This is stupid. What's going on? And then when we realized it was at the end, I'm sitting there going, something's got to happen. Something
Yeah.
has to happen, or else this is going to be a monumental waste of time, and everyone's going to be pissed. And boy, did they prove me right in a way that I thought it would they would never do. And who would have thought, guys? Everyone thought Cody was Anakin Skywalker when it really turned out to be the incorruptible John Cena. Who would have
Wow.
thought? The biggest plot twist of them all was that John Cena is the one that fell to the dark side, not Cody Rhodes. And I can't believe I still have to say that out loud because it
it,
seems wrong. It is
re-
wrong.
it really does seem wrong. I'm interested in seeing how, um, obviously, what is Cena's justification for this.
Yeah.
Cena can go either, he can go one of two ways. He can go, "Guys, I was just doing what I had to do. I hope you can understand where I'm
Hmm.
coming from. I'm just doing this." Or he could just go full on heel and go, "I don't give a shit what you guys think. I did what I had to do for me. If you think I sold out, I don't care. I'm
Yeah.
winning that 17th championship." And that's the thing. That's the whole motivation behind all of this. He maybe thought it was so difficult to get that 17th championship that he had no choice but to
Yeah.
sell out.
Yeah, and I think the thing is too is that I feel like that's going to be more it where it's just like, yeah, I'm doing it because and the worst part about all of this, if you go back and listen to his press conference after the Rumble, he flat out told us this was going to happen and no one batted an eye when he's
Yeah.
just like, look, I think I've given 23 years of loyalty to this company and this business, so I feel like this is earned, blah blah blah. And of course, we're just like, that's just Cena being Cena, whatever. And then you listen to it now and you're like, holy fucking shit, he actually called that this was going to happen and no one picked up on it. Nobody picked up on it at all.
Not only that too, but you think back to Bad Blood when The Rock came out at the end of Bad Blood, threw up the three fingers, and we were like, "What is that? What was that about? That was stupid.
Yeah.
Why did he do that? That was pointless. That
Yeah.
was dumb. They have no idea what they're doing. They're just making up shit and just seeing whatever works. No, 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 no. They have a plan.
Yeah.
They have a
Yeah.
plan, and their plans are months in the making, and we have no idea. Like, they're operating at a level we as fans cannot comprehend. I think it's
Oh,
one of those moments where we need to just sit back and enjoy the ride and stop trying to overanalyze everything like we're detectives.
yeah. It's just, I still can't. I just can't get over it. And it's so funny to me. And once again, I feel like this is just the Star Wars fan in me that I know, or I have a feeling I know how this is going to end up. Because, of course, they're not going to have Cena go out of his career as a bad guy. So there's going to be some sort of redemption somewhere. And to our listeners, any fellow Star Wars fans out there, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I say this. This is fully going to turn into Return of the Jedi.
Mm,
Because, all right, I'll just. Do we want to go into like the quick like plot point of this? Okay,
might as well.
all right, so I feel like we've kind of skipped A New Hope, so that's fine, whatever. So now we're on Empire Strikes Back. Everything seems hopeless. This is just like, how could this have happened? Like, we got the big revelation of like Vader being Luke's dad. What the hell's going on? It seems like the Empire's finally going to win because they have had the incorruptible Anakin Skywalker. He's fallen to the dark side. Now he's Darth Vader. And then you get to Return of the Jedi, where somebody, I don't know who yet, is going to be playing the part of Luke Skywalker of no, there's still good in him. I know it. He just needs someone to show him to the light again. And of course, that does end up happening. Vader slash Anakin gets redeemed at the end, and everybody lives for the most part happily ever after. So, who is going to be the Luke Skywalker to John Cena's Darth Vader? And I feel like there's only one singular person, and if you paid attention to the show at all, it's very obvious who it is: CM Punk.
I was thinking that I'm not a Star Wars guy. I have no idea what the fuck you were just talking about.
Some
But
people will, don't worry about it.
I know I was getting it. I was following along, and then that's what it kind of led me to was like CM Punk is gonna be the guy to kind of
Bring him back.
bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
Only CM Punk can do that.
Yeah,
As we saw, and we saw that in the Elimination Chamber, that CM Punk really is the only guy that can get to that other reaches of Cena's soul. You
yeah,
know, like they're bonded, and even Michael Cole talked about the greatness of their rivalry, and people were talking about the greatness of their chemistry. And even me in a little bit got what I wanted, which was the acknowledgement that CM Punk and John Cena are going to be married at the hip for the rest of their careers. CM Punk even says it. His greatest opponent has been John Cena.
yeah,
So to see them first, it was like they embraced and was like, all right, time to fight. And they
yeah,
started fighting. And then they had that great back and forth down the stretch. And it's just, and then everything that happened Monday,
mm-hmm.
where it almost looked like Punk took offense to what John Cena did. Like he personally
Yeah,
took to what John Cena did to heart. You know, so I think you might be right. It might be a situation where maybe Cena doesn't get the win at Mania. He realized he sold his soul for nothing
mm-hmm.
and he has nothing left. So now he's despondent because he knows he's run out of chances. His career is dwindling. It is almost over, and CM Punk is the guy to be like, nah, you're not going out that way. If
Yeah.
we have to do it one more time so that way we can get you back to the greatness that you once were, we're gonna do it. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, but we're gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He's bringing them back. I'm telling you
Yeah.
again. This is two instances of this episode. You better bookmark this in a couple months' time because we might have been onto something here. So we'll
Well, what
see.
do you give? What do you give the men's elimination chamber match? What is your rating?
I gave that one 4.25 flames.
I actually also gave that match four and a
Of
quarter
course,
flames. Yes,
pretty on brand.
we pretty much share the same brain cell. Overall, I gave the Elimination Chamber PLE a 4.5 out of 5. What about you?
I gave it 4.25 out of 5. So pretty same, pretty much same.
Yeah, pretty much same. And it was honestly like we said in the beginning of the show. This this is in the running for PLE of the year. WrestleMania has a lot to live up to. Thankfully, they
Yeah.
have a little over 40 days to do so, which I think they are. I think they're going to take us on a ride that's going to be even bigger than what we saw last year.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of talked about it before where I feel like last year the destination was rather clear. It was just
Right.
getting there was wild. This time we have no fucking idea how we're getting there.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we have
yeah.
no idea. This is just so unpredictable, which I feel like it's almost whiplash from last year, which is good because it keeps you on your toes.
Right.
So I appreciate the fact that I have no idea what the hell's going on. So I'm just going to tune in and see what the hell happens every week because your guess would be as good as mine. Because if you would have told me last week, yeah, on the road to WrestleMania, Rhea Ripley's going to lose her title and John Cena's going to turn heel, I would have been like, okay, I don't know what you're smoking, but sure.
And the fact that she lost her championship on a random edition of Raw
Yeah.
leading up to WrestleMania is crazy. That just means we really don't know what the game plan is at all, and we just need to sit down and kind of enjoy the ride.
Yeah, put the seatbelt on because we're clearly gonna need it.
Yeah, it's definitely been a wild couple days for the WWE. It honestly feels like it's been a wild year ever since WrestleMania 40. If you
Yeah.
take WrestleMania 40 till now, it's just been month by month by month. They keep taking us on these crazy rides. And I keep telling people if you paid attention to NXT back in the day, this is what NXT was all about, these
Yeah.
crazy in-depth multi-layered storylines that you were just like, am I watching a wrestling show or am I watching a soap opera drama? You
Yeah, you're
know,
watching
because
both.
yeah, because it was too wild. And I feel like this WrestleMania, at least for now, I feel like they're really about to deliver a really big show.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's just what a time to be alive. What a time to be a
De-
wrestling fan.
Definitely. And speaking of really big shows, this weekend, this Sunday, is AEW Revolution. It's the AEW Revolution pay per view taking place in Los Angeles, California from the Crypto Arena. Uh,
Just say it. We were talking about it earlier. Just say it.
I'm not looking forward to this show. I'm not looking
I
forward to having to pay for this show. I feel like
yeah.
this show has not been worth the investment that Tony Khan thinks it is.
Yeah, and I feel like the worst part is too is that you have to literally go the weekend after Elimination Chamber. So good fucking luck. And the worst part about this is it has double the matches. And most of these are like, I mean, there's some where it's like, yeah, that's a pay per view match. I can get that. But it's also just like,
A lot of filler.
just the lead up to some of these has just been so whack that it's just like, uh, I don't know. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
don't
So
know.
we're going to do our best, but it's just
We're
like, ugh.
Yeah, might as well get right into it. Like I said, it's AEW Revolution happening this Sunday on pay-per-view. This one, let's start it off with this one. I think this is actually going to be a good one. Might be a good reason to check out the pay-per-view. Will Ospreay will once again do battle with Kyle Fletcher, who seemingly had his number, but this time this match will be contested inside of a steel cage. Much like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, these guys were once tied to the hip as best of friends, took care of each other during the COVID season, and now out of greed, jealousy, envy, career envy, they have gone their separate ways. Kyle Fletcher has linked up with the Don Callis family, and the Don Callis family has made Will Ospreay their public enemy number one, and this one is going to be contested inside of a steel cage. I'm actually looking forward to this one. I mean, it's Will Ospreay. This
Yeah.
man, he's incapable of delivering a bad match. I've never seen a bad Will Ospreay match.
Yeah, I mean, all you have to you don't even care who he's facing. It's just it's Will Ospreay. Oh, it's gonna be great. That's just how this.
Yeah,
That's just how it is. Like,
yeah. It is really, that's the way to go about it. It's just that's how good Will Ospreay is. It's just like you see him on the card. Oh, this is going to be a great match, and he's going to win most likely.
yeah, and the good thing is that the added bonus of having someone like Kyle Fletcher, who he has great chemistry with, it's just like this is just a bonus. This is
Yeah.
great because their matches before this have been fantastic. So we really can't expect anything less than this.
Not
This is gonna be wild.
Not only that, but you have it inside of a steel cage. Who
Uh
knows
huh.
if Osprey's gonna do something crazy, like maybe do some sort of crazy sky twister press off the top of the steel cage or anything nuts like that. I'm gonna have to go for my prediction. I'm gonna have to go Osprey. What about you?
I also have to go Osprey.
All right, so we're both going Osprey on this one. Hopefully we start off 1-0 because I've been getting my ass kicked in these
All
predictions.
right, all right.
So next up we have MJF taking on Hangman Adam Page. I am actually also looking forward to this match, even though like it's kind of weird. I feel like they saw that the MJF Jeff Jarrett situation wasn't what they
Dumb.
thought it was going to be. Yeah, it was pretty dumb. It wasn't what they thought it was going to be, so they had to quickly pivot and they had to take away something that was very interesting about Hangman Page and the fact that he was not necessarily a good guy, and now in this MJF situation, he's once again forced to be the good guy.
Yeah, it's funny how fate has it, doesn't it? And this is good for both of them because I feel like they definitely need something, especially MJF, because I don't know what the fuck he's been doing lately, but damn. And the lead up to this match has been pretty good. Not gonna lie, their promo battles have been great.
Yes, they have been.
They aren't pulling any punches because why would they? So, the prediction for this one's tough because you could see either one of them winning this because why wouldn't they? I feel like though, if you go based off of who needs it more, I feel like you got to give it to MJF. Like,
Mm.
because if Hangman loses, he's gonna gain more sympathy and might push him back
Ah,
closer to being a semi good guy again. Because MJF's gonna do
yeah,
something. He's gonna probably use the ring. He's gonna use the bag of tricks that he always does because he can't help himself. So I feel like if he does that, that might push fans like to cheer for Hangman further as if they aren't already. And I feel like that might help
yeah.
him kind of straight back to the light a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, damn, I hate to kind of piggyback off of your prediction, but that is a good prediction.
I try. I have my moments sometimes.
Because I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense. Again, if we're trying to gain sympathy for Hangman, and the thing is like you really don't have to do much because even when Hangman was a bad guy, he was still kind of that cool bad guy, and he was kind of interesting because you
Yeah.
want to see what kind of unhinged behavior he was going to pull off.
Yeah.
So he's just one of those guys that is just so good at what they do. Like if they're a bad guy, you cheer them. If they're a good guy, you cheer them. You can't go wrong. I am also going to go with Hangman Page on this
All right. We
one. All
know
right.
we'll get split at some point, but
Some point we'll get split.
maybe or maybe we won't. Who knows?
Let's see. I don't know. This next match may be the one. It's a singles match to determine the number one contender for the AEW World Championship. It is former champion Swerve Strickland taking on his arch nemesis, the man who's been annoying probably just about everybody. I know he's been annoying the shit out of me, and that is
Yeah.
Ricochet.
Yeah.
I am I am not a fan of this new Ricochet. I find this new
Mm-mm.
Ricochet, maybe this is the point, but this new Ricochet to me comes off as quite annoying.
It's
And
like
annoying,
cringy.
yeah, it's a cringy, I don't want to watch this annoying. Not like cringy bad guy annoying.
Yeah.
Not like MJF or a Logan Paul bad guy annoying. It's more like I don't even want to watch you. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that sucks.
Well, I feel like it did not help that he started off trying to copy Andrew Tate. So I feel like once you started trying to go there, you were like, you just kind of just killed your own run there, buddy. But good try, I guess. But yeah, I'm not really into it either. It's just the only thing I think that's making this interesting is the robe and Swerve and Prince Nana. So I feel like I don't even I don't see Ricochet being like the contender yet. Like I just don't see it. Maybe
Yeah.
it's my own bias possibly because I love Swerve, but it's just like if you who would be I mean obviously depending if it's Moxley or Cope, do you really see somebody like Ricochet going up to them like toe for toe and being like, "Oh yeah, this is evenly matched. Yeah, this is worthwhile." I don't see him in the AEW World Title scene as worthwhile yet. That's just me. So I'm going with Swerve because he's got to
Yeah.
get the damn robe back.
Yeah, and I'm kind of jumping the gun here, but the potential of it being a John Moxley versus Swerve match is way more interesting than a John Moxley versus Ricochet or
Oh yeah.
Copeland versus Ricochet match. I
Yeah.
think I think Swerve, maybe this points to maybe they shouldn't have taken the title off of Swerve to begin with. I honestly, even though again that match at All In will go down as my favorite match all time,
Mhm.
and I love Brian Danielson. He's on the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestlers for me. That title change to Brian Danielson was for nothing because who
Yeah.
remembers it?
Yeah, literally. Why? How do you think I feel as a Swerve fan? How do you think I feel sitting here being like, "This is the shit we had to deal with because you couldn't
Because
help yourself."
right, you could have easily kept the belt on Swerve up until now, and he'd go down as the most dominant AEW champion in its existence, far more dominant than MJF.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't want to do that, so they don't want to take away that title from MJF. And by the way, do you think MJF really got that tattoo lasered off?
Um.
Being that we both know how much tattoos hurt and getting tattoos lasered off hurts, do we really think he got that tattoo lasered off?
From the videos I've seen of tattoo laser removal, which hopefully I never have to experience that because I'd like to think I put a lot of thought into my tattoos. It didn't even look like the guy was lasering anything. Like normally you see like an outline or something of that tattoos.
Right.
I don't think he did. I just that's just me because it's just like he I don't know. That whole kind of thing was weird even though I knew exactly where he was, what he was doing. It's like they weren't
Yeah.
fooling
I
anybody, but I don't think he did.
I know the noise all too well, but it was just
Mhm.
like one of those things. It's like, what if he lasered the tattooed off because he realized from a negotiation standpoint it was one of the dumbest things he could possibly have done in
Yeah.
case something goes wrong with AEW and he needs to continue his craft so he can make money.
Or also maybe the fact that it was just a shit tattoo.
It
Like
was a shit. It was a really really bad tattoo.
not to say that we're experts on tattoos, but I feel like between the two of us, with the amount of tattoos we
I
have, I think we
mean,
can say we're
yeah,
experts here. That was
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
terrible. That was ugly, and
yeah,
whoever gave him that tattoo needs fired. Like that was
yeah.
terrible.
Yeah, the lining was horrible. The
Ugh.
linings looked blasted out. If the Cody Rhodes tattoo looks better than the MJF tattoo,
Yeah.
then you know you got a problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's our next podcast is tattoos going horribly wrong. But yeah, I even remember the first time he showed that. I'm like the first thing I said out loud was, "Oh god, that's a fucking ugly tattoo." Like
It
it's
is.
so bad. It's so
It,
bad.
it
So if he
is.
lasered it off, I can't say as I'd blame him because you wasted your money there, dude, but
But
whatever.
by the way, we both have Swerve as the
Yes.
predictor for this match. So far we have not deviated, we have not separated in our
I
predictions.
feel like
I
there's only
feel
going to be one, maybe,
I
but
I feel like this is going to continue because the next match that I'm looking at here is for the TBS Championship. It is Mercedes Monet defending the title against Momo Watanabe. Um,
Yeah.
I've seen a couple Momo Watanabe matches. I really like what she's about. I really like what
Yeah.
she can do in the ring. But it's Mercedes. I really don't
Yeah.
think that they're gonna take the belt off of her.
They're not going to bring somebody like Momo in that isn't clearly signed to AEW to have her lose or to have her win the AEW TBS title. So I feel like, come on, it's kind of a. I get why they're doing this is because they need to give Mercedes something to do, and she probably wanted to work with Momo, which I can see why. She's great, but anybody who actually thinks Momo's winning is fooling themselves. I'm sorry, like it's
I,
not
I
happening.
I do think this is a great way to bring in a situation where Billy Starks
Yes,
ends up getting called up from Ring of Honor to work AEW on their Dynamite and Collision shows. So I think this is a smart way to do that.
that would be nice because we're missing out. We're really missing out on her.
Yeah, we really are. And the fact that she's so young, she's so
Yeah,
talented, she hasn't even put a pinky toe into the prime of her career. And you know she's dedicated because this was a girl who was on the top of her game in the independent circuit. She would travel to all of her independent dates, right? And mind you, she was working all across the country, not in just a select area of the United States, but
yeah,
all across the country. I remember seeing her on bills for Jersey shows. Mind you, I think she's from like Kentucky or something.
yeah,
Not only that, she was still in high school. Not only that, she was
yeah.
the valedictorian.
Yeah, that is a level of just dedication that very few people possess.
Yeah, she is just built differently in my eyes. So I'm really excited to see if they're actually going to use Billy Starks on shows like Dynamite and Collision. And I feel like this is kind of like a segue into that. Having her, getting her, showing that she's a big deal by having her interact with Mercedes Monet on back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. We need more Billy Starks.
All right, and that brings us to our next match. It's a tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. It's the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin taking on the Outrunners. I mean, this
Streak's
is
still
pretty
going.
yeah, this is pretty cut and dry. Why can't this match be on a Dynamite or a Collision?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't get the Outrunners. I'm not an Outrunners guy.
I mean, they're entertaining, but I'm not like, oh my god, I have to see them. And just looking at this on paper, you're just like, why is this on a pay per view? Like,
Yeah.
why? Like, I
I'm
get it. They're just like riding the hype wave of these guys because people just love them. And it's like, okay, I get it. But also at the same time, you have to be a little bit realistic here. And clearly, we are once again listening to the fans a little too much because clearly we haven't learned from before. So,
Yep.
yeah, this one's pretty. This one doesn't need any explanation. I think. I mean, it's very obvious the Hurt Syndicate's winning because why? Why wouldn't they? Like, come on.
All right. And that takes us to a match that I know you probably have a lot of thoughts on. It is Timeless Tony Storm defending the AEW Women's World Championship against the former champion, her arch nemesis, the Glamour Mariah May. And what are your thoughts on this one?
If this match was supposed to be happening, it should be Mariah with that title still. I'm sorry. Like, it's
Mm.
just is it going to come across as biased? Probably. Do I really care? Not really. Mariah should have never have fucking lost that title. It makes no sense. It's didn't make sense then. It still doesn't make any sense now because granted I had my problems with her title reign through no fault of her own. They just really screwed her from the get-go for no reason whatsoever. But I'm glad that they're at least making a big deal of like this is the Hollywood ending. This is like the end to the feud. I mean, for now, let's be real, because they can come back to each other. I don't know. I'm wondering if this is going to be the one that separates us here a little bit, but I just feel like I just cannot get this nagging feeling out of my head. And I don't know if you agree that I feel like the only reason Tony won that title was because it was in Australia. Because that just
Right.
sounds like something Tony would do. It'd be so
Right.
stupid. It would be so stupid, whatever. We're just going to overthrow this entire title reign of Mariah's just to get the good, feel good, whatever for Tony. So I know this might piss off a lot of people if this happens, but I'm also not going to be mad about it. I want Mariah to win
You want
because
Mariah, but what is your prediction though?
I think Mariah's going to win it. I think
Okay.
they're going to give it back to her because here's the thing. Toni Storm does not need a title.
Right.
She doesn't need a title. I'm not saying Mariah doesn't either, but Mariah has yet to have the opportunity to elevate that championship because, again, they shot her out of the gate immediately. We talked about it before. We talked about it a couple weeks ago with the whole I'm not sure why we gave Anna Jay 3 shots right off the bat for no reason whatsoever. Whatever. Because here's my problem, too.
Mm.
And we obviously talked about it a couple weeks ago, too. They have not really done anything else with this division where you have Toni Storm as the champion again and she has fresh new challengers. Really, maybe aside from a couple, but even then, what what would this title reign be different than the last one? Like, is there anything else that Toni can do with that title? I don't think she can,
Mm.
but that's just me. I don't know. I just don't feel like she needs it. I feel like there's more matchups for Mariah that they could get into with that title that would be, I think, very entertaining. I mean,
Mm.
hell, you could have Jamie Hayter come back with it. You could Julia Hart, Queen Aminata. Like there are different matchups that I feel would be I would be more inclined to see Mariah go at than with Toni. But
Mm.
again, I just still have a bad feeling that they only did that to give her a feel good show in her hometown, which again, it's just like I get that, but you also can't do that at the expense of your storyline and
Right.
your title, which is just stupid. But I I'm gonna go with Mariah's taking the title back. I feel like is
Okay.
it gonna cost me my title? Possibly, but I don't care. I feel like they're gonna give it back to Mariah. And if they do, people are gonna be pissed and they're gonna show that they did that just for hometown's sake.
Right. Well, you were correct. This is the match that is going to separate you and I because I am going with Tony Storm. Not that I disagree with anything that you say. I actually agree with everything that you say. The only reason I'm picking differently from you is because I hope that AEW doesn't get into this pattern where they take the title off for feel good moments, then put the title back on, then play hot potato with the tag or the title, and then everybody gets a shot and they only hold the title for 1 month and completely ruining the legitimacy of a world championship. So that
Eh.
is the only reason I'm thinking differently from you. It's no other reason than I just don't think they're going to be playing hot potato with the world title for the women, especially now where women's world wrestling is under such a microscope because they're expected to be better than the male counterparts because the male counterparts have been on top for so long. So it's just like playing hot potato with the world title for the women's division won't do anybody any favors.
No, I just know that they just can't help themselves, unfortunately. But
You're right. You're right. I know you. I'm kind of on the fence, but I'm just trying to use my wrestling logic here.
yeah, I don't know. Like I said, if I'm wrong, I'll admit that I was wrong. But
All right.
yeah, I'm just mad. I'm just so mad.
So moving on for the AEW International Championship, we have the champion Konosuke Takeshita defending the title against Kenny Omega. Now this one is definitely pay-per-view worthy. This one is going to deliver a big time match, I feel. And in trying to figure out who we think is going to win the match, for me personally, it was very difficult because again, you can do the feel good moment thing and give the title to Kenny Omega because he's returning and he's making his big return from diverticulitis. But again, do you want to undercut the greatness that is Konosuke Takeshita? I don't know.
The worst part is that would they? I feel like we've unfortunately seen it many, 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 many times before that AEW can never help themselves when it comes to these kind of tough decisions. I feel like they kind of
Mm-hmm.
just make the dumbest decision possible every time. And I fully would not be surprised if they're like, nope, Kenny's back. We got to give him the title because it's Kenny Omega, and it's just like, guys, that's really not something that's necessary. But it's also just a do you trust AEW to have the self control not to do it?
Right.
And that's essentially how this prediction comes down. Do you trust AEW to have that self control? And I don't know. I feel like we know Tony, unfortunately, and I feel like Tony is not going to be able to help himself.
Yeah.
I feel like he's going to give it to Kenny because it's Kenny's. So, well, and plus they're also spouting off that whole thing like in Kenny's promo where he's like, "Oh, well, they went around being like, oh, well, Takeshita beat me twice in 1 week, beat me twice in 1 week." So it's like, is he going to avenge that loss? Those losses, possibly. And again, Tony can't help himself, so I think they're going to give Kenny that title
Yeah.
because why the hell not?
Yep, I am pretty much that. You basically took my prediction, and it's not necessarily for anything wrestling related other than Tony probably can't help himself, so he needs to have that Kenny Omega feel good moment. And unlike the previous match where Tony Storm would only have the belt for what, like a month or a couple weeks after
Yeah.
Grand Slam Australia, Takesh just had the belt for a while, where it's like you look back at it, and if he loses it, you look at it from a numerical standpoint where you're like, oh, he had the belt for like 6 months or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty decent title reign. But again, I feel like Tony Khan just can't help himself.
No, he really can't. And it's just clearly he's never going to learn
He's
because why the hell would he learn now?
Nope, I don't think so either. So we both are in a lockstep going with Kenny Omega to be the new international champion. And that takes us to our main event for the AEW World Championship. It is Jon Moxley defending the title against Adam Copeland, because I refuse to call a 50-year-old grown man Cope.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's dumb, but
it is very, 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 very dumb. My hope is that we don't regress into the what MJF alluded to with AEW and call it all elderly wrestling. Look, I have
yeah.
all the respect in the world for Adam Copeland. I respect what he's done in his career and what he's contributed to the world of professional wrestling. With that said, I mean, I was never a Copeland guy, so like I don't really need him. Like I feel he doesn't elevate the title to me.
Yeah, I it's tough because I feel like the build up on this storyline is just, again, as we've said, been so whack that it's like I don't even really know what I don't even know what to expect anymore because I feel like we kind of talked about how Darby leaving to go climb Everest and whatever kind of probably screwed up a lot of their plans because I feel like that was always going to be the end game, but I don't think they're going to wait that long for him to come back to do anything.
Right.
Um, but at the same time, though, I don't. Copeland doesn't need the title. That's the
He
thing.
doesn't.
Like he
He
really,
doesn't need anything. He's already a Hall of Famer in the highest wrestling Hall of Fame you can get in.
yeah. Except just the problem is like, okay, well, if Copeland's not going to beat him, what the fuck else are they gonna do? It's just gonna be the same rinse and repeat kind of shit, except maybe Jay. I feel like at
No,
this rate, that's the
it,
next one. It might be
no.
him.
It's either Swerve or Ricochet. Remember that's the whole
Well, I
caveat
mean,
to
one to
the
actually beat him though. That's the thing,
oh,
because
to
I feel
beat
like,
him. Yeah,
yeah, I feel like you got to give Jay a shot at some point because, for God's
yeah.
sake, he's been in the middle of this since the pretty much the beginning. So I feel like maybe they'll give it to Jay. Who knows? But I think we're dealing with the Death Riders for a little while longer, whether we like it or not, because I just don't see Copeland winning. So I think Moxley's going to hold on to it.
Wow, Moxley also getting the pick from Shay. I'm also going with Moxley. Like I said, I don't mean to be disrespectful. I don't mean to come off, and I don't mean to come off as mean. Copeland just doesn't do anything for me. He
Yeah.
just he just doesn't do anything for me. I don't can't we just call him Adam Copeland? Like it's just like
Yeah, I can't get with the Cope thing. It's just
yeah,
like I get that he wanted to try it because he thought it was cool or whatever, and it's just
it's
like,
not though, dude.
sure, it's like it is what it is. Like you do you, I guess, buddy. But
Brother, you're like 50 years old. Time to let the mullet go.
yeah, like, just
Yeah.
shave it off.
Just let's go. But here, this is very interesting. Our predictions for the entire pay per view for Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher. We both pick Will Ospreay to win the match. For MJF versus Hangman Page, we both pick Hangman Page to win the match. For Swerve Strickland versus Ricochet to determine the number one contender for the AEW World Championship. We both not only pick Swerve, but I think we both hope that Swerve is going to win the match. For the
Yeah.
TBS Championship, Mercedes Monet, we both have her defeating Momo Watanabe. For the AEW Tag Team Championships, we both have the Hurt Syndicate defeating the Outrunners. This is the only match on the card where we voted differently. For the AEW Women's World Championship, I am predicting that Toni Storm will retain the title, while you are predicting and you are hoping that Mariah May takes the title back from Toni Storm. And for the International Championship, we are both predicting that Kenny Omega will defeat Konosuke Takeshita. And for the AEW World Championship, we are both predicting that Jon Moxley will retain over Adam Copeland.
Yeah, I feel like the worst part is that I wouldn't have been surprised if we all picked the same because that's just how we are. So I feel like that would have been a little unfair to you, which means I would have guaranteed like kept my title. But I feel like if there was going to be any match that I was okay with like picking against you, it was going to be the women's world title. Am I
But
most likely wrong? Possibly, but I figured we had to make it at least a little fair.
this is kind of cool though, because this our whole thing rests upon that women's world championship match
Yeah.
between Tony and Mariah. The whole thing, our predictions and the prediction title and everything that we have going on, all rest on that one singular match. And there's as of right now with the pre-show match, there is 9 matches on the card, but we still have a AEW Dynamite to sit through, so there might be more matches added to the card,
Yeah,
uh, which
maybe.
which is going to make it a very very long night.
Yeah, on a
Uh,
Sunday too, because
on a Sunday, of course. Why not? Why not? Right?
some of us don't have to work.
Please,
It's fine. Like,
please, Tony Khan, make this pay per view worth the $50 investment. You guys have to do something about those pay per views, because $50 in 2025 is just outrageous in my mind.
it's like I think it's also just kind of insane that oh hey, our stuff's on Max. You still got to pay for the pay per view though; it's not included, and it's just like, and then you wonder why people probably laugh at you over at WWE because all you have to do is just pay for Peacock or Netflix, and you're fine, you're covered.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's literally all you have to pay for, and yet you guys looking like fools, being like, oh yeah, you got to pay for Max, and then yeah, you also got to pay for the pay per view too. Sorry, like that's
Insane.
stupid.
Insane. But anyway, we'll be covering the pay-per-view next week on our next episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast. Just to let you guys know, now that we have covered everything from our thoughts on the Elimination Chamber, PLE, and our predictions for AEW Revolution, might as well let you guys know where you can get all of this stuff, all of this Ringside Rundown content. It is available all across the board on the internet, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, basically any platform that you listen to podcasts. Just search for the Ringside Rundown, hit that subscribe or follow button, and you'll never miss an episode. If you need to find more episodes or find it on the platform of your choice, just hit us up on social media on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Slide into our DMs, show us what platform you use, and I will make sure that you will get that show on the platform of your choosing. It'll come on a silver platter, but the point is you have to give us back the silver platter because it belongs to Shay's mom, and she's been binge watching Cobra Kai, so she might
Yeah,
hit you with a karate chop to the neck. Shay has felt it.
yeah.
It's not a fun ordeal.
No, I would not recommend it, guys. Trust me.
So make sure you give that silver platter back. Like I said, you could find Ringside Rundown on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Ringside Rundown. You can also check out episodes if you don't have a platform that you use to listen to podcasts. The podcast is also available on YouTube. If you head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ at Ringside Run Pod. Now, here's the fun part. For all Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, AEW Dynamite Collision, and WWE PLEs, I do live watch alongs on both Twitch and YouTube. I already told you YouTube is youtube.com/ at Ringside Run Pod, but we also do live watch alongs on Twitch where you can do fun things like gamble your channel points for each match, There's like funny animations. A lot of people like to get me with the jump scares. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
It's
I've seen your compilation. I'm like, poor guy.
yeah,
Poor guy.
I have a potty mouth, but if you want to join in on the fun, you could check me out twitch.tv/ringside rundown again for every Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite Collision, and PLE from WWE. You could find me on Twitch doing a watch along, so come join the fun. Shay, where can they get in touch with you?
You can find me on Twitter at ShayleneHickson21, talking absolute nonsense about all the things.
Not
Mainly hockey right now, but you know.
nonsense about all the things. You don't want to talk about my Yankees destroying your Pirates in spring training. Baseball's coming back at the end
Are
of
we
this month.
are we surprised though? Like, are we really surprised? Like, it's the
Listen,
Pirates. I don't expect them to do anything.
I'm
Like,
just trying to get you amped up. That's all.
like it's you got to have something because we got nothing. We got nothing else besides this. Let's be real. Like,
Well, next week for our next episode coming in, we're going to be talking about AEW Revolution, giving our match ratings. And maybe if we have some time, we might take your questions as well. We may see, but make sure you're paying attention to our social medias to find out what is the next format for the next episode of the Ringside Rundown. Shay, I think we're all done here.
yeah, I think we are.
I think we are. So for Shay Hickson, my name is Erik Vasquez. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Ringside Rundown, and we will see you very shortly on the next one. Take care, guys.
See you later, guys.